Hey, welcome everybody to the next conversation we are having in Mindful to Mindful Talks. It's mindful, as in two different words, the mind being full to mindful, one word, which indicates, being in the present. So this is a talk series where we invite individuals, personalities who have achieved some, materialistic success, as we call it, in the external world, and also have who have explored meditation and mindfulness as their inner journeys. So the idea of this conversation is to see how both are interweaved together, and does meditation really impact the external world, and if yes, what are some practices that we can follow and get inspired, because when you see somebody who has walked the path and who can share with us authentically, it's very easy to relate, and or possibly incorporate it in our lives too. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Vikram Shastri, and I'm privileged to welcome our guest for today. His name is Sandeep Sandhar. And if you really look at his journey of his, from a resume point of view, he did his MBA in IMT Ghaziabad. He was a state level hockey player, an avid mountaineer, trekker, photographer. He even has written a few poems, and he also had a glorious corporate career, if you will, looking at all the kind of companies that he worked in. He worked in Maruti Suzuki. He worked in Samsung, and then he jumped on to National Geographic, and and then he gave up his corporate career to create his own startup on travel. And he created a startup called Roads Less Traveled, for which he led for 5 years, and then it was acquired by Oyo. And if you look at his journey, it's amazing, because every point in time he has taken decisions with courage to shift from one type of a corporate to another, where the work was totally different, and at the same time he jumped on to becoming an entrepreneur, and all the while behind the scenes he was meditating and trying to inculcate the benefits of mindfulness. So this conversation is with Sandeep to explore his internal journey with his external journey, and see what we can take home as well. I welcome Sandeep into the talk show. Welcome to Mindful Talk, Sandeep. It's a privilege to host you, and thank you so much for being here.
Thanks a lot, Vikram. It's my pleasure to be here on the show. I look forward to having interesting conversations with you.
Awesome. I'm pretty sure that the viewers will take a lot of value, and the little that I did get to speak to you, I was super inspired. So I'm sure the same will happen to our viewers, and I can't wait to get started. So can you tell briefly about how is it that you moved across corporates also in a very diverse way, and also when did the traveling actually become came to the fore, and you were able to take that up as a primary job itself?
The reason for moving across industries was, I think it was an exploration bug,
Right.
Which was more to do with travel, as well as exploring even the corporate side of it. I was, instead of looking at the vertical growth, growing in one industry, being the VP, CEO, blah blah. So instead of that, I was looking at more of exploring different things.
Right.
I think the origin is the same, whether it was traveling outside, exploring different industries, because you want more exposure, right? And somewhere it all correlates with the inner journey. You're seeking something, you are looking at something that you're not sure about now. So you're just exploring.
Absolutely. In fact, that's the connect that I was about to make. That one looks at your external journey, and it is what is written all over it is that you're a seeker, you're an adventurer, and probably you're exploring and discovering, trying to discover something. And I felt many of us also would love to actually do certain things like that, but maybe for whatever reasons, and also the courage reason, we might not be able to shift corporates the way you shifted verticals within them, and also jump onto an entrepreneurship journey and then jump onto what you're doing now. It's really takes a lot of courage, as would, I'm sure, climbing Himalayas. And I'm wanting to know a little bit more about all of this from you in the next few minutes.
So I think it's the sense of adventure and carrying a bit of that thing to all spheres in the life. Because
Right.
if you're an adventurer, you're not an adventurer just in one sphere of life. So you
Right.
would like to explore different areas. So I think that was the main passion,
Understood.
right? And then you were saying that I moved from corporate into travel. So
Yes.
long time ago, I think I had in the school time, I had read somewhere in a Reader's Digest.
Hmm.
It was a one-line advice from a
Hmm.
father to a son. The son, pick up a job that you like, and you'll never have to work a single day in your life. I think so. That was also one of the key, things that said, okay. And travel was, of course, one thing that I really liked because it
Right.
carries a sense of purpose, a sense of venturing into the unknown,
Right.
right? And new things every day. So even in the corporates, I was actually looking at
Right.
a sense of discovering new things, meeting new people in new industries, and also another thing with venturing into every new industry was also that just like every new mountain that you have to climb,
Hmm.
so in every new mountain you have to start from the scratch. You have to start from the base, and then
Absolutely.
go all the way. So similarly, if you're in the same industry, you've already proven yourself, right?
Right.
So it's also like kind of self-testing, or rather,
Right.
some people call it pushing yourself into a new place. So it totally depends on how we look at, but it's always starting anew to, explore what's there on this peak. So
Right. No, that's a fantastic insight, and also probably an amazing advice. If for somebody starting out, probably, or maybe at least if I had heard this advice a long time ago, then I think it would have helped me, because I always felt, and that you start with one vertical, maybe you go into technology or you go into sales or marketing, and you kind of grow vertically there, and that is the progression that one would seek. But
yeah,
looking at your profile, it's actually inspiring to see that you can actually ace one vertical and then start all over again,
yeah.
and in a different one, have different experiences, and then
But it does
grow
come
up
with
there as
its
well.
own sense of dangers also, right? So
I'm sure. I'm sure. as
yeah,
as as
because
would claim.
if you're
Right.
starting to climb a new vertical every few years, then
Right.
there are lots of crevasses and pitfalls along the way. You have to
Right.
put up the ropes
Right.
every few years, and it's a lot of effort also,
i'm
right?
i'm pretty
So it
sure, and
totally depends,
absolutely. I mean, I'm sure there is will be a lot of effort and a lot of courage is required, because see, now it is easy to say looking backwards, like how Steve Jobs said, it's very easy to connect the dots looking backwards,
yeah,
right? But when you are in your first job
absolutely,
doing one thing, and then suddenly you get another opportunity, and to consider that shift and then
yeah,
move on is not an easy
yeah. Back
decision to
back
make.
then, when you were actually doing it, then it's just intuitively whatever comes to you.
Right.
So you don't sit like a SWOT analysis. Okay, this is my, this is where I stand, and this is where I would be. Okay, you
Right.
do a bit of planning also, but
Mhm.
a sense of intuitiveness actually carries you. Suddenly something new comes and you say, okay, let's. As George Mallory, I think he said, or why did you climb Everest? He said because it's there. Just, you know,
Right.
you just go for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. And how was your experience, when you jump from corporate to actually starting your own startup? Did
Hmm.
you actually travel, and, did it satiate you more? And how did you feel?
It's very exciting because you jump on from a corporate to a startup when you think you're ready.
Right.
Now you can jump. Now that I've learned the ropes, I can
Mm.
do everything. And but then you jump into reality, and then you figure out, okay, there's a lot. You can never learn enough. You can never, there's the journey continues, right?
Right. Right.
And now there is no harness. There are no ropes to, you know,
Correct.
safeguard now, because in the corporate, there are too many people, and the entire team is there, but when you start out, then it's you're on your own. So
Very true.
again, it's a full sense of adventure that
Hmm.
travel startup brings in. So I think I enjoyed quite a bit. Yes, there are ups and downs.
Hmm.
Definitely, there are lots of downs also, because things don't go as you had envisaged. So
Right.
every day is a new day, and
Absolutely.
but it is fun. Overall, it is fun.
Right.
And, another good thing. I mean, one piece of advice that I can give to people who want to start up but don't, is
Hmm.
that you can always come back, right? If it doesn't work,
Exactly.
you can always come back. I mean, don't carry too much burden on your head that, yes, now I have to make it successful. Otherwise, there's no point in this. There's no point in life. It's not like that. It's just, one of those adventures. If it works, wonderful. If it doesn't, come back. I mean, don't take it
Right.
so badly on your head as a burden.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a great advice. And, again, something I can only relate to myself. But, because, we hear so many things in family and relatives and friends where people look out more for security. And, there is this always fear of failure. And, but the probably the advice to take to heart is that, it's okay to fail. And it's failing once or twice or even
Yeah,
thrice doesn't mean we are a failure. I think
absolutely.
somewhere, at least I did this connect where when I did not succeed in a particular endeavor, I connected that, okay, I am a failure. And probably that's the mistake we make. And, it's okay to fail in a few things that we do, take the learnings forward, right? And I think that's brilliant advice. Thank you for that. One last question before I jump into, your journey into meditation, actually. So amongst, you've traveled, you have, climbed peaks and, mountains, etc. So which is your which one did you find to be the toughest trek or experience of sorts in all your travels?
Toughest, we were attempting one peak called Mountain Tibba. It is near
Uh-huh.
Bali, and again, we weren't technically trained, and over enthusiastic young people,
Right.
and we didn't have a proper team also.
Right.
So so somewhere that climb also kind of gave a learning that, yeah, enthusiasm is great. One should have. Without that, you can't start.
Right.
To finish the thing, some kind of planning is also needed. Till then, I
Absolutely.
was a little brash, young guy,
Mm.
go for a trek without any prior knowledge. Or so it was just, I think, three of us, and we hired two local guys. So just
Mm.
five people attempting a peak, which was 6,000 meters, with no humanity nearby. So I think
Right.
we went, a little into overdrive at a young age, and
Right.
then we had to come back. We had to
Okay.
come back from a certain height. I think from around 5,000 meters, we couldn't complete it. But
Okay.
that was humbling to know that enthusiasm alone is not everything.
No, that's a great insight, actually. Yeah, I just to repeat what Sandeep said, I think so enthusiasm is necessary to start off things, and that's brilliant insight because you need that in the beginning, the energy, the want, the desire to do something, but then that doesn't sustain,
It
and
might take you to the top also,
yeah,
but you need to come back alive. You need to come
right.
down alive.
Absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah. No, this kind of I can easily relate to it because 10 years ago I got this startup bug, like I was like in the corporate and I wanted to create a product and when you are young and you're thinking it's like the world will take your product and you'll make a
oh yeah.
world impact, right? And when I did create a small product of sorts, it was again very humbling because of nobody even cares about what you're doing except you, right?
True.
And it's so hard for people to get to know, use it, and take it forward. And it was a humbling experience, and I can kind of relate to exactly what you said.
And
And there was
and
lack of
also,
preparation.
yeah,
Yeah.
and also kind of parallels the spiritual journey also.
Absolutely.
Spiritual journey is also somewhat like that. It can be very lonely. You are
Right.
the only one who knows about it, right? You think that,
Absolutely.
great, I'm on some adventure, but it could be tough in the beginning,
Right.
just like a startup,
Right.
or just like a rocket has to be launched, right? The first phase is the most, when it has to take off.
Yeah.
So I think all the journeys are similar at the end of the day. The
Very
initial
true.
phase is very and slowly you take off. But once you're out of the Earth's atmosphere, then it's a different ballgame.
Absolutely. I'll take the cue of that wonderful example and analogy to jump into the inner journey of yours. And I think talking to you for the last few minutes, what's super established according to me is that you are an adventurer. You are an adventurer at heart, and you have that courage to take on new challenges, and you also know when to back down and be practical about things. So I really want to know how this went in parallel with your inner journey. So when did you get exposed to meditation, and how did that journey begin?
Well, I'll say maybe meditation for most of us, it comes a little late. So it
Right.
usually starts with the asanas and
Mm,
pranayam, right? So I think with me also it was like that. I had attended a yoga camp which is just next to my house when I was in school. So in the summer holidays, early in the morning, I used to go there. Then
mm,
we used to do the asanas and the pranayam, and after that, you were lying down in shavasana,
right.
right? And that was something enormous for me at that age. You know,
Mm,
experiencing that silence after a hard class,
right.
from going deeper within yourself. So that was something very different, unlike that you experience otherwise. So I
Mm,
think it started with that. You had experienced something that you were not very sure about what is it,
mm,
but you always wanted to have more and more of that. So
right.
it started with that, but then life takes over. There are other things that come. So much later, maybe much later when I was working, then once I had a severe back pain, so I went into Iyengar Yoga
Mm,
for a while. And again,
right.
after a hard class, then when you lie down in Shavasana and, the teacher is giving you a Yoga Nidra,
Right.
again, something similar came. And, so, so this is like one backstory. This is
Right.
one track of the backstory. And the other
Mm,
tracks, of course, are that, uh, you're happy, you're in a way successful, you're doing good in your life. But at the end of the day, there's also a bit of, some kind of undercurrent of
right.
discontentment also plays along. That's what
Very
I
true.
felt. You're doing good, everything is good, and I was amongst the happier lot, right? There are people uh, around who weren't happy at all. So I was around the happier lot, and still I could feel some discontent of always wanting more and more. I mean, you have rightly pointed out this job, then that vertical, then that vertical.
Right.
Okay, this peak, now this country. So so many countries. So you're always seeking something that you don't know. So
Right.
there is some discontent that's propelling that, right? That's fueling all of that.
Hmm.
So uh, so I think a lot of backstories then come together when you
Right.
see the you know on one day when you're playing. So I was into sports also. You're hitting the ball all over the place.
Right.
Same baller, same circumstances. You can't do anything. So what's the difference? What's wrong? On one day you are playing at this level of your
Right.
capability, and another day you are on this. It's never similar. So you're
Right.
always questioning that what's playing over here,
Right.
right? And so the first thing that we do is go to certain books, psychology books. So a lot of Western psychology, pop psychology comes. When you
Right.
trying to seek an answer to all of this, that what's playing over here. You want to do good in the job, but when it comes to your presentation, you're just shivering. Why? I mean, this is your day. You should be out. So you're
Right.
always trying to understand the mind, what plays behind it, right?
Right.
So I think the most of us are exposed to the Western psychology books and pop psychology, those things, but they do not take you to an answer.
Right.
They, at least for me, they will keep you entertained.
Right.
They'll give you some facts. They'll open up some alleys that you want to go there, you want to go there. But you never reach the space where an answer is there. I think
Right.
for that, the our Eastern parts or Eastern science works the best. You take up yoga psychology. So along with the explanation of things that you're looking at, you
Hmm.
also are you venture out into a practice. So in
Right.
yoga, it's, all the 8 limbs that are there. Then
Right.
there's the Vedanta, right? Vedanta also gives you or takes you to a space wherein you can get the answers on your own,
Right.
or the Buddhist psychology for that matter.
Mm.
So these three, I would say, the Eastern, you know, standards of finding the answers are very robust.
Right.
You get practices, that's more important. You get embodied practices
Mm-hmm.
along with, the theoretical science.
Right.
So somewhere I think these connected because you had those experiences as a child,
Right.
then you got it again. So I was always looking for those answers to have a connect, and
Right.
somewhere in meditation you get that connect.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. Right. No, I think that's really deep and nice. So when did you actually shift over from, you were doing Yoga Nidra, you saw a kind of a
Yeah.
glimpse of what would
Okay.
silence give you, and then, I'm curious to know.
Yeah, that's even more interesting because when you start meditation,
Right.
it's not what you had
Envision.
envisaged. You were expecting something and you get something totally different.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think when I out of all this excitement of reaching a deeper space, that deeper silence that you had got glimpses of,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think I started with some books on how to meditate and
Right.
some books on mindfulness,
Mm.
and but it was disastrous to begin with.
Right.
I have to be absolutely clear about that. It was very tough, when you sit down with
Right.
your own self.
Right.
In the very beginning, it's tough, and you have unreal expectations.
Mm.
That's what I see in a lot of people that I interact with now also. The reason a meditation practice for people fails
Mm-hmm.
is not because they are doing it wrong. The
Mm-hmm.
reason is because they have wrong expectations. They expect that
I see.
now that I'm sitting in this pose for 20 minutes, I'll
Right.
be liberated. I'll be in some other world. Totally different expectations.
Right.
So, and I had similar expectations.
Right.
Uh, so when I used to sit down, wake up early in the morning, put an alarm, 6 o'clock, and I noticed that a song is playing in my head. I thought I'm
Mm.
here for relaxation and deep peace.
Mm.
The songs were playing in my head. So the initial experiences weren't, as I had expected. But then
Right.
slowly I learned that maybe this kind of meditation will work for me or not. Then I
Mm.
tried different. So I had, as you pointed out, the sense of adventure.
Right.
So I was open to, look at different styles also.
Mm.
Because for a very beginner, doing a sitting meditation, it would be tough, and it was tough for me also.
Right.
And so I tried different things. One good thing I did was, or I chanced upon it was, I chanced upon Yoga Nidra. So I think
Mm.
that is great for beginners.
Right.
If you can't sit, if your thoughts are circling too fast in your head, maybe do some Yoga Nidra to begin with, or
Mm.
do some guided meditation where
Right.
you can do it lying down, right?
Right.
So that was one thing, and then I explored other things also, like the dynamic meditation of Osho, which is
Mm.
you're actually jumping around or walking mindfulness. So explore different things, that and arrive at a place which will click for you. That is what
Absolutely.
I discovered.
Absolutely. I think that's a very good insight. Two things that I really take home from what you said is one, it's not necessarily your practice that dissuades you, but your expectations, right?
That's
So if you have different expectations and we don't even know that, we
yeah.
think something is going to happen, and you sit for a while, and if it doesn't work out like that, then we are dissuaded, and we fall off
In
the
fact,
practice. Yeah.
one of the things I tell a lot of my people who come to learn meditation from me is that meditation is not a shot of vodka. They expect that now I've taken a few shots of meditation. Wow.
Right. Right.
So it's a very different thing. It's like building your muscles
Right.
for a hard you know it's like building your muscles in a gym. So you're not
Right.
going to get results in the first few weeks or few months,
Right.
right? You have to be
Right.
steady, you have to be regular. It's
Right.
like you're attempting to do a marathon, 42 kilometers. So you
Right.
got to have the right expectations. Don't
Absolutely.
go all the way, on the first day. You can't.
Right.
Even
Right.
if you want to, you can't.
Absolutely. No, that's a brilliant suggestion actually. And the second thing I took away from what you said is don't be close to trying only one practice or one suggested thing. Try out many different aspects and see what really clicks with you. And and because probably for somebody who maybe they can sit for 15 minutes directly on day one and meditate, and probably for some of
Yeah,
us it
some
might
people
be
do.
hard. And yeah, exactly.
Some
And
people can. So do not compare yourself. Again, it's very hard in this world,
right. Right.
But if you start comparing your practice with someone else's, it'll be tough to continue.
Right.
Each, physiology, each psychology is totally different. The kind of imprints that you have in your mind will be
Right.
totally different from somebody else's.
Right.
You
Right.
cannot live anybody else's life over there.
Right.
So that is definitely one. And, the way we get exposed to meditation is a friend did a particular thing, or
Correct.
he went to a particular ashram, or he used a particular app, he takes you along.
Absolutely.
So it was working for him. You went along. It didn't work for you at all. It
Right.
was a disaster. And then you come back with the feedback that, or with the result that meditation is not for me. Maybe
Exactly.
that one particular style was not for you at this
Exactly.
stage.
Right.
So, one needs to keep exploring.
No, absolutely. That's brilliant insight. Sometimes, some technique might not work, and that doesn't mean that meditation doesn't work for me. That could just mean that that particular technique doesn't
Technique
work for me,
didn't
and I
work
should
for
be.
me
Yeah.
at this point of time. So I
Right.
can do
Right.
a lying down meditation. I can do a walking meditation. I can do a dancing meditation. There's
Right.
even a laughter yoga for that matter, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, do not get
Yeah.
restricted by one particular type.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, actually, two things come to my mind. I'll quickly ask you before I forget. So, one is when you were exploring your meditation journey like this, trying out different meditations, reading about it, and experimenting, etc. What were you doing in your corporate career? Were you in corporate? Had you left that?
No, absolutely.
Just
I think I was more on in my startup phase
I see.
at that point of time. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it was more in the startup when I had my own startup during those
Got
5 6 years.
it.
This was there. Yes.
I see. So I want to try to see if we can bring in a connect. Like how did your inner journey kind of affect you in your external world? In your startup, whom you're interacting with. Was there a connect you could see? Because one of the things that happens is everybody knows about meditation, but the incentive to put in that effort, like as you said, it's like taking off a rocket taking off, and you need to put in sizable amount of time experimenting before you come to the stage where you can reap the benefits of it or see the benefits of it, right? So was there any connect that you saw?
One of the first changes that I could see. So first of all, I mean, before even the changes or before even the connect, I would
Right.
say for a very long time there was actually no connect.
Hmm.
For a
Right.
very long time, I think it could be a few years, that there was no particular result that I was getting,
Right.
because I had certain expectations that this
Hmm.
is the result that I'm seeking, and nothing was coming through. It was very
Right.
difficult to, I tried this particular meditation, didn't work, tried for a few months, another one didn't work. But the point was, I continued.
Right.
The
Right.
only thing, the thing that, helped over there,
Hmm.
since there was no results, was that I
Right.
continued with this thing or that. So that
Right.
really worked. So what I really want to point out, one thing before I go to the
Hmm.
main question, is that even if it is not, you can't see the results. Meditation is always working in the back end. It's
Right.
very strange, in today's world where we need the quantified results for everything, right?
Hmm.
If I've meditated, then my brain waves should be showing some results. Then my
Right.
MRI should be showing some results.
Right.
They might not show the results to begin with,
Right.
but
Right.
if you continue, someday you'll be able to watch yourself,
Right.
where you were reacting to a colleague.
Hmm.
Now you could observe yourself, hold on to it, and actually make a good relationship over there. So,
Very
those
nice.
kind of things, after a while, you can see. For some people, it's quick. I have seen for some people, it's quick that, within the first month of meditation, people are improving. But
Right.
again, do not compare
Right.
and keep at it. That's what I learned. Now, coming
Right.
back to, you said, what were the changes? Am I getting
Yes.
the question right? Yeah. So, I think it's the clarity. That's the first thing that you see. You can actually cut through
Right.
a lot of garbage and
Right.
see things clearly, and you're also able to take decisions based on this clarity. Where you will be wrapped in your a lot of mental distortions or vrittis, as we call it in yogic psychology.
Right.
You're entangled in those, but if you've meditated for some time, then you are able to cut through things. You're able to
Nice.
see things clearly as they are,
Right.
rather than how you wish they were. So, I was saying that I was wishing meditation to bring me this,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I kept wishing, and
Mm.
it wasn't happening.
Right.
When you sit down without that wish, right, and then receive whatever is coming,
Right.
then
Right.
a lot of things come. Then meditation is actually like a lotus blooming, right? So instead of when in the corporate world, we are usually building skill sets.
Correct.
I'm one personality, so I'm trying to build this particular skill set.
Right.
Then, after I work hard, then I try building another skill set. But I think after a while, meditation brings the entire gamut.
Right.
That is what I have felt. So it brings, courage. You can take decisions, hard decisions,
Right.
and one very striking thing it brings is non-attachment, what we call as
Mm.
bhagya.
Right.
So when you were so closely attached to a startup,
Right.
you were closely attached. If somebody's attacking you this much, then you are hurt.
Right.
But after a while, then you are working with more vigor, more energy.
Right.
Take all the harsh criticism.
Right.
So I think that non-attachment is really beautiful. That is one of the
Fantastic.
beautiful fruits from meditation.
Just to reiterate, what you said is, one, we need to be patient, right? When you start meditation, the changes might not come immediately. If it does, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So we need to kind of stick through and wait, and but it is working in the background. Whatever we do, it will impact us. It will reap some reward, and probably it's just we reaching the next stage itself is the reward. And
And
and then the
that we kept through it. We kept
yeah,
going for our part of the journey. Our
yeah,
is to show up every day, whether it's
right,
5 minutes, whether it's 10 minutes or 20 minutes. So if
right.
you're showing up every day, that means it's working.
That's a
If,
brilliant take
if
on
you're
this
showing
actually.
up
Yeah,
every day, it's working. If you're not,
absolutely.
how can it work?
Absolutely. No, that's very well put. And secondly, that once it does work, you will start seeing probably different things, but the more clarity, courage, and it starts working across areas of one's life.